Welcome to 86, where the nights run long and the stories hit quick. From the back of the house to the front row mix. We talk real life hospitality, unfiltered. Because we on 86, baby. What's up? It's your boy Chef Vern, man. We're here with another 86 episode. Glad to see y'all. Hope everybody's been doing well on this beautiful Saturday, man. And today, we got an episode that's really dear to my heart. It's really special. That sometimes these two things get misconstrued. They get associated with being the same thing when they're completely not. Completely not. And the real ones know. The real ones know. Today we're gonna talk about flavor versus seasoning. Two different things. Now, don't come over here talking about, nah, Chef Vern, flavor and seasoning, they're the same thing. Like, if your food seasoned, it got flavor. If your food flavor, it got seasoning. I made that sure I said that right. If your food got flavor, it has seasoning. If your food has seasoning, it has flavor. There we go. Now, I want to tell you, that's not true. That's not true. And today we're going to break it down. So let's start with seasoning, right? Just seasoning food. So think about this, right? You got a chicken breast. You got a steak or whatever type of protein. Fish, salmon, you got venison, lamb, whatever. And you just put salt and pepper on that. What is it going to taste like? You're going to taste whatever protein you're eating with salt and pepper. Very, very one-dimensional. If you just season it with garlic powder, you're going to have a lamb chop that tastes like lamb chops with garlic powder. And you're going to have a fish with onion powder. Your fish is going to taste like just onion powder. Seasoning is very, very one-dimensional. Whatever you're using, is what it's going to taste like. And that's just, like, it can be a little boring in a sense. Like, just, yeah, it's good, or yeah, it's seasoned, or it tastes like salt and pepper. It's not quote unquote bland, but technically it is boring. It is bland. It's missing something. You feel me? Seasoning, you have no kind of like acid, no wine, no butter, no technique. Say you just get plain chicken breast, throw it in the oven, salt, pepper. That's it. You got salt, pepper chicken breast. You throw it on the stove, sear it, you cook it. Salt, pepper, chicken breast, that's it. Like, even though you're searing it, and searing is a way you can add flavor, it's still very, very one-dimensional. You won't add anything to it like any fresh herbs, I already said wine, any alcohols, any fats, any oils, any sauces, any marinade, any kind of condiment. That's how you build flavor. And another thing for all my salt warriors out there, for my Larvies warriors out there, for my seasoned salt people who buy like different kind of, and this is no judgment, but this is just, I'm giving you facts in this, not giving you facts. Salt is not a seasoning. Salt is an enhancement. When you add salt to a dish that already has whatever flavors or other seasonings on it, the salt brings out the other flavors and other seasonings of that dish. Salt shouldn't be used as the end all be all of seasoning. It shouldn't be used as, okay, if I have primarily salt, then my food's going to taste good. No, your food's going to be salty. You don't want to oversalt something because then it overpowers any other flavors you had. And if you undersalt something, it's kind of like, yeah, it's good, but it could be better, or it's missing something, or something's not there, or I'm not getting this kind of, what's the, I guess, expectation or delivery from this dish. And look, I got a story for y'all, right? Back, let's say 2020, 2021, around prime COVID time, I was working at a senior living home where I met Eli Daniel. Shout out to Eli Daniel. I talked about him in the last episode. And we had hired this, not we hired, but the company hired basically like an executive chef, a regional chef in a sense for our building. And it's what I'm sorry. And I think it was a Thursday. We had like Hawaiian pork chops. Now, I made these pork chops before at the same establishment. Let me tell you how I made them, right? You take the pork chop. They was like they were the IQF, which is like individually quick frozen pork chops. So you thaw them out the day before. They come in perfectly thawed. I marinated them in like pineapple juice, cilantro, soy sauce, coriander, cumin, salt, pepper, like a little oil. Gave them a good marinade and let them sit for like 2 days. So I'm sorry. If we would prep it, I would prep it 2 days in advance. Let it sit. Then take them out the marinade, grill them, high heat, get a nice color on them. So now I already marinated them, which helps build flavor, which that marinade of that Hawaiian flavor I was going for kind of penetrates those pork chops. So when you take it out and you grill it, you cook it, you get a bite, you get all that flavor that was built up for it. And take them out, grill them, hit them with some salt, pepper to help build that flavor. Throw them in the oven. So now I got the marination, the grilling, and the roasting. Take them out. I would take the marinade and like take the marinade and cook it down, make a sauce out of it. Beautiful. Pork chops, they was loving them. They was tender, juicy, flavorful, like seasoned. You can't beat that. Fast forward to where we at now. The new chef gets hired. So I go get my marinade together and I go to 2 days after I go to grill him. But he like, no, we not gonna grill him. I'm like, well, what we gonna do? And to back it up, I'm a little bit more of like quick tempered at this time. So I'm like, so what you saying? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, why are we changing up the recipe? He's like, nah, we just try to make it easier. I'm like, but the quality is not gonna be the same. So he was like, no, we're gonna throw them in the oven and cover them. So basically, we're gonna braise them. And I was like, well, they've been marinated, so we need to actually apply some heat to them so they can have some color. If we braise them, it's gonna be like they're just boiling in the marinade and they're going to be gray. They're gonna be well done, but gray. He said, no, it's fine. We'll just do that. So now I'm like, bro, you're messing up my recipe. Like, I've been doing this for the last 2 months. I'm pretty good at this recipe, so please, like, don't mess it up. And he was very adamant about doing it his way. So I walked away and let him do his way. So an hour later, when the pork chops came out the oven, they were gray, well done and gray. Then he decides to throw them on the grill. And boy, when I tell you, I was livid. Like, you are doing this backwards. Like, do you know how to cook? Like, do you know what you're doing? Like, why are you messing things up? Then you're working harder. And that's one thing about me. I hate working harder. Like, if I can do something the right way and make time for it, I want to do that. I don't want to try to shortcut or make it easier just to backtrack and fix my mistakes. That's too much. So that right there is a perfect example. My way was building flavor, was executing a pork chop properly. That way, even though it was flavor and it was seasoned, it wasn't executed properly. So even though, how can I say this? It was just executed so poorly, and I had a brain fart. Sorry. And that's why it's important to have flavor, and that's why it's important. I'm tripping. Even though the pork chop story might not correlate too much, but I think that correlates well. Like, that's a perfect example. Flavor, season, doing something different. Even though I maybe not too much, but I still want to tell the story. I think it was a good story. And I have another example where this is my first time experiencing like so much flavor in the dish. When I was in culinary school, we had a chef named Chef Fitton, the recipe chef, and he passed away a couple years ago. And I wasn't even in his class yet, but we all went to school, not school, we all had our afternoon classes in the same building. So it was like 5 kitchens in the same building. So we all kind of intermingled with each other and kept it going like that. So, and I've just heard about Chef Fitton, his famous shrimp and grits. And I think he's from Alabama. A bigger kind of, especially from a bigger white guy, very, very down there, very cool, had a heavy accent, man. And recipe chef, and he was my guy. So I heard about his shrimp and grits, and today he was making them. So I'm like, I'm trying to get some. So my one of my peers, his name was Jeremy. Jeremy, shout out to Jeremy. He was like, yeah, bro, go in there and get them. Like, he got a big pot. Hurry, get them for they going. And I went in there, grabbed the grits. Grits was thick, creamy. It was piping hot. Got me some shrimp. The shrimp had like onions in it, garlic. I think it had celery, sausage. He made it with like chicken stock and butter. Put that on the sauce nice and thick. The shrimp was nice and fat. And I remember trying this and I was like, yo, damn, like, what the hell? Like, it was a lot worse words than that, but I was like, yo, what's going on? I've never had something like this. Like, it was buttery, it had mouthfeel, it was smoky, it was fresh from the herbs. They had parsley and cilantro, scallion. The sausage gave it a nice smoky, fat feel to it. The grits were creamy, so everything had a nice contrast and it was cheesy. Like, and I was like, damn, this what flavor is like. And that day right there changed changed everything. And it was seasoned and everything was seasoned well. I was like, man, this probably the best shrimp nuggets I've ever had ever. And to this day, that's still the best shrimp nuggets I've ever had ever. Like, I made my shrimp nuggets to get very, very close, but it's nothing like chasing that first time and that nostalgia. Like, I will always remember that. Excuse me, I will always remember that from culinary school. Like that first time experiencing true flavor. And the last point, we kind of already talked about this, but you use seasoning to enhance flavor. Seasoning shouldn't be just your end all be all for your proteins, vegetables, mashed potatoes, because it's gonna be very one dimensional. It's gonna be very boring. It's gonna be very flat. And it's good to have your food to have a little contrast, a little additives, a little development, because it gives your food, a profile. It gives it experience. It gives it, flavor. I guess it can't. So the better words for it, gives it flavor. Now, going on to the opposite side of seasoning, flavor. Now, one thing that flavor is technique, and we talked about that a little bit with seasoning, like searing, roasting, steaming, deglazing, and even though we kind of use those in our everyday cooking process, doing them correctly is a very, very important thing. Because you can sear something, but you're not really searing it if you don't get your pan hot first. You just put the protein in there with the oil. Then when it gets hot, it starts to cook. Now your food is kind of like grayish, brownish. No, you want to sear something in a hot pan. You preheat your pan. You want to get it to it's like nice, maybe a little smoky. Hit it with some oil. Throw your meat right in there. So when it hits the pan, instantly it starts cooking. It forms a crust. It forms a skin on whatever you're making. That is the proper way. So even though even though flavor is a technique, you gotta make sure you have to make sure you're doing those techniques correctly. Because even if you're not doing them correctly, then there's really no point of trying to add flavor. There's no point of making it that way. You're not gonna do it correctly. Flavor is also building and layering your meal and your prep and your dish, right? So build is, say you're sauteing onions and garlic, and you add your, salt, pepper, add your aromatics. Then you add, say, celery, carrots, bell peppers. You want to make sure that you season that as well. You want to make sure that you're adding whatever flavors you have added to your previous dish in that pot or that pan. You want to make sure you're doing the same thing for the next step. Because I don't know if I'm sure everybody has had, let's say you eating something, let's say it's like beef stew or something, and you eating it and the beef is seasoned, the carrots is seasoned, the sauce is seasoned, but you bite a potato and it tastes like potato. It don't taste like no salt, pepper, no seasoned potato. It just tastes like a bland potato. And then you're like, it's good, but the potato's kind of unseasoned. Like, the potato's kind of bland. Like, everybody's been there before. Maybe with not beef stew, maybe with like curry or noodles or pasta or something. Like, you want to make sure every step of that is seasoned, every process of that is seasoned, and every process of that is building flavor or has the same flavor, so you continue to develop your dish, right? And with layering, it's like your wine, your alcohols, your citruses, any kind of wet condiments you're adding. You want to make sure that you're using those. And when you're sauteing something, it's time to glaze. You hit it with that wine, and you bring it down, and you reduce it to get all that flavor. Then you add your chicken stock, reduce that, add your cream, and you let that all come together. You let that all layer and all build, and that's how you build flavor. That's how you come through and develop a dish. So when you taste it, you get hints of the acid, you get hints of the chicken stock, you get the creaminess of the heavy cream or the milk, and you get the fat. Obviously, you add some butter to finish, you get that fat. So that's how you build flavor. That's how you compose a dish. So when you taste it, it's like, damn, like I taste this, I taste that, and it all works perfectly together. Like, a shout out to my guy Bill York. So one thing we talk about is, we have this term for, let's say, some foodies out there who don't like any like acid or contrast in their food, and like we call them like savory eaters. Like, you want your food just one way. I want it to taste like this. I don't want anything else. I don't want anything else in this meal. This is how I want it, and that's fine. But there's no fun in that. You got to have some contrast, flavor, something. Make your shoulders move, kind of what's the word before? Kind of feel to your dish. There we go. There we go. And even when you add fat, like fat gives your food a mouthfeel. Fat gives your food like that. It coats your whole mouth. It gives it that, not really a taste, but it does coat your mouth so you can taste every part of it. And your mouth is just not like, oh yeah, that's good. But it's like, no, you want the coat. You want to be like, man, this is an experience. I taste it everywhere. I'm getting every kind of flavor, every kind of ingredient that's in this dish. When you add herbs, that's freshness to your dish. It gives your dish a life. It gives your dish like, whoa, this is great. This is, you can say fresh, but I didn't want to reuse the word fresh, but it's all good. Flavor in its entirety is balanced. Not one part is overtaking the next. You get a plethora of feelings and emotions and taste and experience when you're tasting the food. Flavor is balanced. If your food has balance and it's seasoned, it's perfect. Like you have like completed the perfect dish. And nothing is ever perfect, which is fine. But in this moment, the dish is perfect. I've executed it well, it's seasoned properly, perfect. We gonna enjoy it. We finna eat. Example, different cuisines use different flavor. Like Asians, you got the sweet, the salty, the umami, the fermentation. Like, when the distinct flavors in Asian food, especially with Caribbean food, they got the bold, layered spices. Like you eat it, it's very punch you in the face. Like, whoa, this is bold, it's spicy. You got the hint of like sweetness. It's all developed. It's all layered. And like Mexican food, they got freshness, spicy, acidic, a lot of tomatoes, a lot of cilantro, a lot of lime juice. Like, all that's building flavor. Like every cuisine flavor different. It does have flavor. So just make sure when you seasoning your food, you need both to succeed. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got for y'all, man. It's been a great 86th episode. Make sure you follow the podcast on YouTube. Make sure you follow my YouTube, Chef Vern Jr. We do cooking videos over there. We do skits over there, food skits. We do podcast episodes over there. There's a lot more coming. So make sure you tap in. And if you can't watch it on YouTube and you're more of a podcast listener, I'm a little bit of both. Make sure you follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you tap in. We got an episode weekly. Your boy Chef Vern, man. I'll see y'all in the next